The country, your country is very rich. Uganda is a very rich country. The problem, however, is the knowledge of the population, the whole population, to use these natural resources in order to modernize ourselves and make our country rich. There are 4 sectors of the economy. Sector 1 is agriculture. The problem with agriculture is that 69% of the homesteads are still in subsistence farming. And we have been struggling to wake them up, to say, please, don't, subsistence farming means okukorera okukorera okulya kwonka. And this is a challenge to the priests, because the priests, many times they are deployed in the rural areas. There is, for instance, one parish which I did research in, and this is in an area where the Catholic Church is quite strong, Bunyaruguru. This is the parish of Ndangaro. Tindamanyira, I see him there. Ndangaro is a parish of, when I checked, it had 2,500 homesteads. All of them were not involved in commercial activities. They only had bananas for eating and for making alcohol. Once in a while, they would go to the park and steal hippos, because Banyarugu like hippos. And yet that area is very rich, as you know, very rich with volcanic soils, but these 2,500 homesteads were just there, dormant economically. There was only one man called Kateva who had seven pigs. When I asked the others, I said, oh, why don't you copy Kateva? Ntawenji mtakutoreza Kateva mkajira hempun nangu. Ngogo, ngone shakari yo mgeiga. So, comrades, 69% of the homesteads in Uganda, the whole of Uganda, are stuck in subsistence farming. I stopped at Kagamba, at the junction there, and I saw a woman in a millet garden. I asked her, I said, Madam, what are you going to do with the millet? She said, Nizaganuza tatazara. That was her ambition. Okuganuza ishezara. In the 20th century, when people are going to the moon and coming back, this woman is there busy, her big project of Twari ishezara omuganuza. So here, you the elite, and the priests, you have, and the political leaders, you really have a serious challenge because the poverty is from there. These are people with resources, with the land, which they are not using to improve themselves. In the process, nibatuwejanisa okutuwejanisa nibawejanisa ekereziya, because if all these homesteads were part of the commercial, when it comes to ebitwero byekereziya, it will be simple. You will be getting from rich families. Nibawejanisa ihanga, because the country would get more taxes out of them, directly and indirectly. Nibawejanisa amakagabo, nibawejanisa enganda zabo. The banks, I can see they are bankers. Nibawejanisa banks because they don't bank money because they don't have money. 69% of the homesteads bariyoko bashtami begamire fuka itobana ntuhinga bo begamire mhini nibarorera kwonga. So this is a challenge because you are all from the rural areas, or you know somebody who lives in the rural area. And for the priests, those rural people are your responsibility. By 1995, I was confident that the people in the rural areas could change. That's when I started that campaign of poverty eradication. You remember, those who are old enough remember I was going around. Therefore, in the election of 1996, we analyzed and we put forward what we called a 4 acres plan. 1 acre of high-grade coffee, 1 acre of good fruits, 1 acre of food crop, 1 acre of pasture for zero grazing dairy cows, and then backyard activities. Backyard activities meaning poultry, piggery, for those who are not Muslims, maybe fish farming, a little bit of apiary, so that you get money, although you are doing your activities in a small area. So there, what is required is to jump 3 hurdles. Hurdle number 1, go from traditional to commercial, from subsistence to commercial. But hurdle number 2, you must do so with a chibaro. Because if you do it without a chibaro, still you will not get out of poverty. That's why you would find people, for instance, who grow maize or tobacco. They cannot get out of poverty because maize and tobacco are enterprises which need to be done on a big scale.